Hello and welcome to another Ask Nerida Joy video. I have a new model here today and her name is Christina. And I actually saw some pictures of Christina. She had emailed me some pictures and I said, I want to work with her and I want to help her skin. So that's why I've asked her if she can come in. Fortunately, she is here in the Los Angeles area. So I was really happy that she's here, number one, and number two, that she is willing for me to work on her so you can all see the process of how we're going to get her skin so much better. So I'm going to start here. We're going to cleanse off her skin and I'm going to bring the light over. I want you all to see her skin through the Maggie lamp to see what we're working with here, and we're going to talk about her skin before we start working on it today. So I am going to, she did say she's wearing a little bit of makeup, so I'm going to cleanse that off and then we'll get started with the Maggie lamp so you can all see. So this is my gel cleanser. Her skin feels really bumpy. So I want, once you bring the lights over, you'll be able to see what's going on underneath. And it's really bumpy and really surface dry. I talk so much about surface dryness and the problem that it causes when someone's skin is surface dry and they're oily underneath. It does not allow anything to get out. So it's really, really important to make sure that you keep that outer layer soft and supple. And that's what we're going to work on with Christina. We'll talk to her about her regimen and I'm going to give her a whole bunch of new products today that she'll be taking home and using so that we can really get her skin in great shape. I like to use disposable sponges. Everything that I can use disposable, I really like that because we want to be able to toss it away after each client. It just makes it so much easier and it's just more hygienic to do that. So I like as much disposable as possible. Okay, so she only had a little bit of makeup on. It was just a light coating, not too much, and my sponges are still very clean looking, so it was just a very light coating. I'm going to blot her skin dry and then I'm going to ask Mr. Cameraman if he wouldn't mind coming over with his camera just so we can have a really good look, a close-up at her skin. Okay, so we're looking at Christina's skin through the Maggie lamp here, and what we're seeing is you can see she's got so many tiny little bumps under the skin. Her skin is super dry. Her blackheads are almost, you can almost feel them when you touch her nose. They're sticking out a little bit. We've got a pustule here and you can see the inflammation around the pustule, but you can also see how she has all these tiny, tiny little white pustules scattered on her face. The true acne vulgaris, very oily skin, but very, very surface dry. And we've got to get rid of that dryness to even help with what's going on underneath. So very rough texture, lots to clean out underneath there, and we're going to really clean up her skin today. Forehead too, you can see up there. Over here on the side of the face, and the nose area. So very congested, little white pustules, slightly discolored around the chin, that grayness around the mouth area. Going up onto the lip. Okay, so we've had a look at Christina's skin, a close-up of her skin under the Maggie lamp, just to see what's going on underneath. There's a lot of little bumps. She's got some pustules, painful nodule over here on the cheek, but just so much surface dehydration. So if you remember back in some of our other videos that we've done of Twee, for instance, who had that really, really surface dry skin, but she did not have the pustules with it, but super, super dehydrated. So the most important thing that we have to do for Christina today is we've got to really help her with that surface dehydration, because whenever there's dryness on top, any oil underneath will not come out. So it's really important to understand you've got to keep your skin soft and supple, because that dryness, it just stops oil from getting out, and it's such a problem. So what we're going to do, We're going to do and use the exfoliating mask on her skin. I'm going to mix a little bit of the healing gel with it. Her skin, she has a sensitive skin, and I can see that, you know, possibly in the past she's tried sort of drying up the oil, which has added to the fact that she has that dryness on top now. So what we're going to do an exfoliation on her, but I'm going to work a lot of healing gel in with that. I'm going to massage it into her skin really well because I want to make sure that we can just really buffer and get rid of some of that dryness now. So what I have here is the exfoliating mask mixed with the healing gel. I'm going to work this in to Christina's skin. I'm going to really massage this in. This is an exfoliant that does not have granules in it. It has a papaya enzyme. It also has a little bit of glycolic. So she will feel some tingling on her skin. It's a very smooth texture mask, and it absorbs dead cells. So what's so great about exfoliants that have a buffing effect on the epidermis is that it doesn't have the little granules, and little granules, although could be fine if you're living in a very humid climate and you have an oily skin with lots of blackheads and no sensitivity, but little granules are scratchy. And if you look under a very magnified lamp at what little granules do to your skin, you'll see lots of little scratches on your face. So it's really important to understand, and I always say to people, if you're using a granular scrub, one that has the little balls in it, if you walk on sand, you know what happens to the soles of your feet. It thickens. So it's the same with your face. If you are wanting to keep your skin soft and supple and keep your skin clean, it's better if you're living in a drier climate to use an exfoliant that has a buffing effect, one that absorbs dead cells and doesn't have that scratchy, the little balls to irritate the skin. But more importantly, the little balls in a drier climate are very drying on the skin, and it thickens the outer layer, which then creates the problem that I've been talking about surface dryness. So it's very important to use an exfoliant, and there are many different brands out there that have a cream-like exfoliant that absorbs dead cells and has that buffing effect, and I really recommend it really for most people because it changes the very outer layer of the skin. And even once we remove this with cooler water from Christina's face, her skin will feel so much smoother already, and that's going to allow the oil that's within the little bumps of her skin, it's going to allow it to come out. So we want to make sure that this is something that she's doing at home on a regular basis, and I would say for her she probably needs to use it about every 3 or 4 days. She does not need to leave it on her skin very long, but if she leaves it on her skin about 3 minutes, works it into the skin like I'm doing right now, because we want to get it in there and right up here either side of the nose. We want to make sure that we're working it in really well, and I know that that's eating away at those little dead cells, which is fabulous because that's what we want, and this is going to keep her skin a lot cleaner just by doing this. So that's a really important part for her regimen. So I have cooler water, and I'm just removing the exfoliant now. Okay, so what we've done is we've removed the exfoliant, and we did mix a little bit of the healing gel with the exfoliant. Her skin, it feels so much better already just by doing that. We've cleansed, we've exfoliated, and what is really important for her first treatment today is I've got to try and get rid of some of that dryness, because just by getting rid of some of the dryness, she is not going to have all the bumps under her skin. It is mostly because a lot of what she has is not a dietary type of acne. It's just oily, it's sensitive. She's got this painful nodule, which we know anything painful is hormonal, but I really want to help her with the dryness because that's going to clean up her skin a lot. So we're going to work in a little bit of our famous flavonoid, and I'm going to work it in with a little bit of retinol, and I'm going to do a very light massage with some healing gel, and that's what's going to just kick that off to start with. So I'm mixing a little bit of my retinol in here with my flavonoid, and I'm going to add healing gel to it. So I've got all three mixed together here in my hand. Now whether you put them on individually, it doesn't matter a whole lot. I'm just mixing it all in here, and this is what I'm going to do, a light little massage on her skin with this. I could use a steam at this point also, and if I did not have the cameras here, I would be using steam. It's just a little noisy, and therefore I will not be doing that today. But we are going to work in our 3 items here into her skin, and it's just going to help heal her skin. And I'm going to just add a tiny touch of massage oil, which is a very light oil. It has gamma-linolenic acid in it. It comes from evening primrose oil. I'm going to add a little bit of that shortly once this starts to dry up a little bit. I'm going to be massaging her skin not for an abundance of time, but a good 5 minutes. Now the thing when you're massaging a skin that has little pustules on it, sometimes the pustules break and you spread infection. Now, Christina's skin feels a little bit gritty to the touch. It's also very surface dry. Once we get rid of the surface dryness, she might have a little bit of a sensitivity to wheat and some of the yeast. And we will know the next time I see her, because right now her skin is so surface dry and she's just got so much underneath that we'll know the next time I see her, depending on how congested her skin is, as to whether we need to put her on a candida diet, which is, candida is yeast, and it's anything that rises. It's bread and cakes and anything that makes the bread rise. That type of yeast, baker's yeast, is also in beer. And it is cheese, the mold foods. So cheese and mushrooms is a no-no for candida. And melons, that's your watermelon, your cantaloupes. And for some people, if they have the little bumps on the backs of the arms, they will need to go off sugar as well. But the other foods that are the candida foods that create a problem if you have candida albicans, which is yeast, is fermented foods, which is your wine and vinegar. So usually you are better to have, like, as for a salad dressing, you are better to have something like a olive oil mixed with maybe a little bit of lemon, and that's going to be your salad dressing, because you can't have the traditional vinegars. And but I'm going to have a look at the tops and the backs of her arms shortly. I have not looked at that yet. If she does have the little bumps on her arms, then we might, and I'm going to suggest not for this time, for the next 3 weeks. I want to just really lighten up the very outer layer of her skin, get rid of this dryness, and see how her skin looks in 3 weeks. Because at that point, I will know whether we need to put her on a candida diet. So this is starting to dry up now. Now that was those 3 products I had again, was the Q-flavonoid, a little bit of the retinol formula, which is a professional retinol. It's obviously not prescription, but it is a professional retinol, and I mixed it with the healing gel. I'm going to add a little tiny bit of the massage oil, which is not a really heavy molecule massage oil. It's a very light oil, and I'm just going to work that in very lightly, just into her décolleté, and just do a little coating over top of what I've got on here. I am going to inspect the arms right now. No, her arms are really clean. So what that is that tells me she does not have a sensitivity to sugar. So a lot of what she has going on here, the next time we have her in 3 weeks, if we need to put her on a candida diet, she will be able to continue to eat her sugar, which of course we know is not, fabulous for you, but at least it's not a real problem for Christina. And that's because she does not have the keratosis pilaris on the backs of her arms. And keratosis pilaris is, and again, this is all to my understanding, because what I tell you all is from my 40, and this year it'll be 41 years of working with the skin. So my training and my work is from my experience. It is not from a book, and it certainly is not from learning from any doctor either. It is all from my own experience and what I know because of the different things I've studied over the years as to what helps and what makes the skin better, and for long term, because that's why we're here. We're here to make the skin better, but for long term we want to keep our client's skin young and youthful and pretty. So that's why, well, certainly why I'm here. So we're going to work this into the skin, and again, it's a very, very light massage oil. It has a little bit of the gamma-linolenic acid in it, which comes from evening primrose oil, and it's a really nice light oil. So we're just going to work that in to Christina's skin just over top, because I'm just going to massage her skin a little bit longer. Her skin is really quite thickened and bumpy, so we want to get rid of that. It's also irritated, you know, so I haven't spoken to her about what she was using in the past, but clearly it's not right. So in this case, often when I have clients come in and their skin is really surface dry or irritated or whatever the concern is, when there's just a lot going on with their skin, I don't really, it's not worth my time to talk to them so much about their products that they've been using, especially if I just feel that everything that they were using, including the cleanser, is not right for the skin. So the importance of what I want to be able to do is just, number one, give her what she needs. It's going to help her skin and make her skin better. And number two, just focus on the products that, you know, that she really needs and why she needs those products, like how they're going to help her skin. So the fact that her skin is really sort of irritated, it just, you know, what she's been doing is not very much that is has been supporting her skin. So we want to really really fix that. Okay, so we just work that in just for a minute. I don't want to have to do too much here. Okay, so we're going to put some warm towels on now, and we are going to remove this here. You'll see my nice white towels turn very yellow shortly. Okay, here we go. I'm going to take this off here. So we've taken off the products that we'd worked in for a few minutes. And now what I'm going to do, I'm going to put the normalizing formula on her skin. The normalizing is an AHA that has urea peroxide, it has amino acids, it has things in it just that really help with oil activity and infection. So I'm going to put it on, it's going to sting on her skin a bit. I'm not going to leave it on her skin long, only a couple of minutes, and then we're going to take it off with cool water. So this one here is my normalizing formula. It's a professional product. It comes in half strength for the consumers as well. But we're going to put this on. It's going to sting on her skin. As I said, I'm not going to leave it on a long time. If I was doing extractions on Christina, I possibly would not use it on her. Sometimes when you're dealing with somebody that has a lot of color in their skin, if you use things that are too strong, it can really burn and fry the skin, and we do not want to burn and fry her skin. So sometimes when you open it up or you do extractions, the skin's more sensitive. So I might have, if I was doing extractions today, I might have done a different AHA on her. But because I'm not, because I want to see if how much we can clean her skin up just with what I'm going to do today on her skin, but also with what she's going to be using at home, and just to see if we can help these little bumps, because I do have to get rid of dryness. If you try extracting little bumps when there's so much dryness on top, it's really hard to get it out. And on her skin, Christina's skin, it could very likely mark it up too much, which I don't want to do. So I want to see, with her home care regimen and with what I do today over the next 3 weeks, just how much we can clear up without doing extractions. As I said, I feel her skin is so surface dry that it really needs to, we need to alleviate the dryness, and her skin's going to be significantly better just through doing that. So without extractions, I want to see how her skin is in 3 weeks when we have her come back. And we're going to just, we'll see how much better her skin will be, because it's not going to be as bumpy, and it's also not going to be as dry. So we're just kind of working this in a little bit. As I said, I'm not leaving it on a long time. It is a normalizing. I know it will be stinging on her skin, but I'm not going to leave it on her skin very long. You know, there are the different thoughts of when I went to beauty school, and I say this actually when I'm talking when I travel around and I'm speaking in front of esties, is I tell them that when I first trained in beauty school back in 1978 was when I graduated beauty school. I went to a beauty school where they did not believe in extractions. And in Sydney, where I'm from, there were two beauty schools. There was a beauty school where they did extractions, and there was a beauty school where they didn't do extractions. And I chose to go to clay therapy, which was the French style. It was a lot of massage, and it was also no extractions. And what I learned from not doing extractions is that, it definitely, there are some people that you just don't extract. My experience, because I've been doing this for so long, I realized that for me to get results, 95% of the time I am extracting somebody's skin, because I do believe if you want to shrink pores and that you need to get it out. So even though I trained a different way, I feel it's really important to extract, especially someone who is a more oily, problematic skin. Now, Christina's skin, on the other hand, she doesn't have really big pores. She's got a lot of irritation underneath her skin, and that's why I want to give her home care that's going to be really soothing and calming, but she's really, really, really surface dry. And it's one of the biggest problems I see with people that have oily skin is they're so surface dry, and it's just the biggest problem. So once you lighten up the skin in that you get rid of that dryness, and then it's a lot, the texture's a lot smoother and it's more hydrated and healthy, then everything's working better and you don't get the congestion underneath. So that's why I want you to see how we're going to work with Christina's skin, because I'm not doing extractions, whereas my other models previously I was. But I want you to be able to see her skin. She doesn't have really big pores, she's just really dry. And with home care and with just the little that I'm doing today, to be able to see how much better her skin is in 3 weeks will be really great. So that's what we're doing. I'm going to take this normalizing off now. I left it on a couple of minutes while I've been here talking, and we're going to take it off with some cool water right now. Okay, so these are my disposable sponges again, and they're very cold. It's cold. The water that they've been sitting in is cold. It's clean, cold water. We're taking this off. Now, as you go to remove it, it's an AHA. It's going to sting. When you add water to it, it will be stinging on her skin a little bit. So always when I take off an AHA, I'm going to put on my aloe vera healing gel, and that's going to just be a little bit more soothing and calming, and then we're going to put on a mask. Now, as I said, with her skin, with Christina's skin, because she has so much going on underneath, you can't do a whole bunch. You've got to start by preparing her skin to get her skin healthy. And that's what we know our Q flavonoid's going to be doing for her at home, our healing gel. We really want to get her skin healthy, so these little bumps, so her skin is just breathing, as I say, which of course is just a figure of speech, but it just allows the skin, everything to get out. So now we're going to put on the healing gel. It's mostly 98% aloe vera. And now I'm going to be putting on a mask. So I have a thin coat of the purifying mask on her face over top of the healing gel. Okay, we're going to leave that on for a few moments. I'm just going to put a little bit of eye gel around her eyes too, and we'll be back to take this off. I'm not going to leave it on her a long time. I'm probably going to leave it on about 5 or 6 minutes and then take it off. So I cheated, and while I had her mask on and we turned the camera off, I asked Christina what she was using at home, because I did say earlier I wasn't going to, because sometimes as an SD, when we have clients come in and you look at their skin and you're just like, oh my gosh, I want to talk to her about all the things I can do to make her skin better and the things that she should be doing, rather than the things that she's using that are not working for her. So I did ask her what she was using at home, and she said she has a cleanser that's foaming, and she does not put moisturizer on her skin at night, and in the daytime she uses just a moisturizer that is for normal to dry skin. So what we have here, as I sort of said earlier, is that number one, non-foaming cleansers are an absolute no-no, They dry the outer layer of the skin, and they don't allow anything to get out or anything to get in. So number one, that's most important. Number two is you have to use moisturizer. If you have an oily skin, you need moisturizers that are for oily skins, because what a moisturizer does for an oily skin is it heals the skin. It's important to, that's why we have moisturizers for dry skin and sensitive skin, because everything has a purpose. So a moisturizer that's designed for an oily skin doesn't overnourish the skin, it balances the skin and it helps with the sebaceous activity. So it's really, really important that you use a moisturizer morning and night that is designed for your skin. And Christina, which admittedly she may have been confused, as most people are, because most people, when they have so much dryness on top, they think their skin is dry, but the dryness on top is just what we call a subcondition. So it's important to understand that Christina's skin is oily. She has oil activity, sebaceous activity all over her face, but she's really, really, really surface dry. So that is what we call a subcondition. So her skin type is oily with a subcondition of surface dryness. So automatically that tells me she cannot use a foaming cleanser. She has to use everything that's light. Her skin's sensitive, it's very delicate. She's got a lot of color, a lot of pigment in her skin. So we have to be really, really gentle in how we handle her skin. So today is, I'm going to take this off now. It's starting to tighten a little too much as I'm talking. And but today what's really important is we're going to get back to basics with Christina. We're going to start her off on a non-foaming gel cleanser for home care. I'm going to give her the healing gel to use at home, and I'm going to give her the flavonoid that she's going to add some of that to her healing gel at night time. And that's what's going to really help to start to feed, to help to soften up her skin, to start improving the nutrients in her skin. And I'm also going to give her a very light moisturizer, which is a non-comedogenic moisturizer, so it's a light moisturizer for an oily skin. And I'm going to give her the exfoliating mask, and she's going to mix some of the healing gel with her exfoliating mask, and she's going to do that about every 4 days at home for me. She's going to work it into her skin just for about 3 minutes and then take it off. So we're just going to take off her mask now. I use the purifying mask on Christina, and we're going to have Christina come back in 3 weeks once she's been using her home care regimen. Now remember, we are not doing extractions on her today. She does have those little white pustules on her face, but they're going to be gone in a couple of days, maybe even tomorrow. She's got one nodule on her cheek, which we know is hormonal, and I know just by pressing on that would be a little painful for her, but a lot of the other little pustules on her face are not painful. She does not have keratosis pilaris. She does not have that irritation, that sensitivity on the backs of her arms. So as I said before, we will decide next week when I see her, in 3 weeks, when I see Christina again, whether we're going to put her on a Candida diet. I'm not going to change out her diet right now. She just needs a really good home care regimen, and that's what we're focusing on with her today. Now, how do you wash your face at night? The most important thing is when you're washing your face is that you're working it in and you're getting under the fine facial hair. So we all have fine facial hair on our face, and it's really important to massage it in circular motions. You're putting the cleanser on clean, dry hands. Your fingers are not wet and the face is not wet. So when you go to wash your face at night, you put it on clean, dry hands, you massage it into your face, and then you get a clean, warm, wet washcloth and take it off onto that. And that's what you do every single night to clean your face. Now, if you're using, depending on the brand of cleanser that you're using, some of them might require that you have wet fingers. So, but the brand that I'm using does not. You put it on clean, dry hands, massage it in, get it under the hair, especially on these side areas over here by the ear, and then it's good to go. So I'm going to put some more healing gel on her skin now. Her skin already feels so much better. But I'm excited to see her in 3 weeks because I know her skin is going to be so much better. So that's a little healing gel. I'm going to put a very small amount of the flavonoid on right now and a little bit of the retinol. Now, I'm not giving Christina any retinol or any AHAs for the next 3 weeks. As I said, we just want to get her skin back to where it should be. We want to get rid of this surface dryness. So we're starting here. We're going to reevaluate next week. And that's what I would tell her as my client too. Where, you know, when she comes back in, I'm going to then decide if I'm going to put her on a Candida diet and what those foods would be. I mentioned to you already. And that means she would have to go on that diet, and normally you have to stay off those foods for 2 to 3 months. You have to stay off it 100%. You can't have a little bit. If you have a little bit and you cheat, unlike another kind of diet, you have to start again, because it is Candida is yeast, and it lives on the baker's yeast. It feeds off that. So you really have to be very good, very diligent about not having that in your diet at all. So we'll reevaluate when we see her next time in 3 weeks whether she needs to go on that diet. And other than that, she's going to have her home care regimen that I mentioned to you, and she will be doing that every day, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing her next time. So I thank you so much for coming in today and being with us here, Christina. Thank you. I'm excited to see her skin and to see how she's doing in 3 weeks. So thanks for joining us today, and we'll see you again really soon. Bye-bye.